in front of this august body with all the majesties and excellence, I just want to make one point. Narendra, I trust you and I treat you as a friend. But you know, the biggest political ambition of India now is to become a permanent member state of the United Nations Security Council. Let me tell you, if India does not treat China as a friend, India will never be a permanent member state of the Security Council of the United Nations. Why? Because China has a veto power. China will never support any country in the world to become another permanent member state.
This is the real face of China.
So
this is the real
another permanent member
this
state.
Is the real face.
It is not a friend of China. Narendra, tell Prime Minister
Victor,
Modi, tell the Indian government,
the real face of China.
Treat
I think
China
we want
as a
to
friend
remove the veto
before
power.
you have any chance to become a permanent
one
member
at a time.
state.
当印度代表在论坛上当众发难，质问中国为何连一个朋友都没有，并直指中国是印度入场唯一障碍时，高志凯没有退让。他反将一军，中国是150多个国家的最大贸易伙伴，这难道不是朋友？这场交锋撕开了中印关系最敏感的伤口，不是喜马拉雅山的边境线，而是两国对国际秩序的根本分歧。
A lot of people saying China wants a China-centric Asia, a unipolar Asia led by China, which India would not like. Earlier on, I was attending your geostrategic session. You were talking about multipolarity, but China has yet to convince the world, perhaps, that it's serious about that. Again, do you see a warming of relations with India, or has that always been there? Let's see what your thought is on that question.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, Your Majesties, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to be here attending not only this luncheon discussion, but also the Energy Forum itself. I'm very honored and very privileged to share with you some of my views. First of all, yes, indeed, China-Indian relations are warming. But what is the common denominator for China and India? In addition to everything else, I coined the term superpopulations. In the world of today, there are only China and India, each with a population of 1.4 billion people. And for the foreseeable future, probably all the way up to 2100, China and India will remain the only two superpopulations in the world. Superpopulation means a country with a population of 1 billion or 1 billion plus. That means both China and India, the only two superpopulations in the world, have tremendous amount of responsibility for ourselves, for each other, and for mankind as a whole. Now, indeed, there are some problems in China-Indian relations, but allow me to set the record straight. The problems, especially territorial disputes between China and India, which do exist, are not created by either India or China. They were the leftovers from the British colonists when they ruled Indian subcontinent as the British Indian Empire. Now,
if we start going down the road of the British Empire, I don't think we'll end. But let me ask you, sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Gao, on that point of the border, I mean, that is really the crux which has sort of kept the issue between the two countries. We'll go down to economics in a minute. But that territorial dispute, do you see that being resolved? Is that what it will take to see a long-term strategic change in the relationship between the two countries?
But I would say the territorial dispute, which was left over by Mr. McMahon, who drew the line, which was taken by India to be the border between China and India, and which China refused, sooner or later it needs to be resolved. But the territorial dispute between China and India is not the totality of China-Indian relations. I think when you talk about economics, in 1978, the size of the Indian economy and the Chinese economy were more or less on a par with each other. But as of now, the size of the Chinese economy is more or less about 5 times as big as the Indian economy. Whereas China has become one of the most highly developed industrialized economy, Indian economy still has great potential to go before it fully becomes an industrialized economy. That means China and India can really benefit each other by helping each other. And I always told my friends in India, China is not an enemy of India. If you think about the war between China and India, the real enemy is the Himalayas, which is the mighty mountain. and Indian side should not really pick a fight against the Himalaya mountain.
Okay.
That gives us all the reason to be friends with each other.
Friends, okay, let's take that. Economic friends, and back to you, Narendra. I mean, you are highly reliant on China's friendly economic supply chain to India. That is obviously something that you would not easily give up, and so we are maintaining the peace between the two on a geopolitical spectrum. But where do you see that going? Does that put India in a difficult position when it comes to geopolitical relations with China, and indeed with both of the countries' posture with the US as well?
Well, as you know, that we have a very interesting partnership with China, economical, industrial areas, and so many other things. But at the same time, the fact remains, we don't look upon China as a developed country, as Victor said. China is a developing country. Look at China's per capita GDP. It's very small. It's number 50 on the global list. And we think there are so many issues and problems that we actually, we can benefit from each other's experience. The question is that, I think the biggest Himalaya, of course, there are some issues on the border and all that. There is work in progress, negotiations are happening. But the real challenge is that China wants to see, that's our reading, they want to make Asia a unipolar Asia, in the sense Asia dominated by only China is not acceptable to us. Asia belongs to China, Asia belongs to India, Asia belongs to Indonesia, Asia belongs to Vietnam, Asia belongs to Japan, Asia belongs to Russia, Asia belongs to Iran, and so many other countries. So therefore, I think the problem that we face is China is a very interesting country. What they have achieved is wonderful. And actually, I must compliment and congratulate Victor for that. But the question is, it's a very difficult country to understand. Let me give you one example. According to my own reading, not India, my own reading, China doesn't have a single friend on the planet. Not a single friend. They have proxies. They have clients. They don't have a friend. Not a single friend.
Can I just interrupt you there? Let's talk about, is Russia a friend? Because Russia, both of you, is a supplier of oil, especially to India. You've been taking 30% of your imports versus 1% a couple of years ago. President Trump has told India that you're funding the Ukraine war because of so much Russian oil being taken in India. Let me just go to Victor with that. You also do take some Russian oil, maybe not as much as India. Victor, is that a sticking point in your posture with the US, for example, or in your posture with the trade negotiations with the US that China might be having?
Well, actually, Narendra is right, partially on one point. In China, we always worry that if we do not have enough friends, we keep worrying about that. Whereas the United States seems to be worried that if they do not have enough enemies in the world. So we always worry if we do not have enough friends.
There's no worry
and
there.
If anyone sitting in this August hall wants to be a friend of China, raise your hand and you will have my full support. That's number one. Number two is to have a friend. I think if China is not a friend with the rest of the world, China cannot be the largest trading nation with more than 150 countries in the world. Not only India depends on China for supplies of all kinds, more than 150 countries in the world have China as the largest trading nation. Tell me, any country can be the largest trading nation with so many countries in the world if it's not friendly with all the other countries, if it does not treat other countries with respect and deals with you on equal terms, if it keeps holding a gun at your head. Do you want to have a friend like that? No way. So China believes the whole world should be a friend of China. And China is so eager to be your friend. And China is also very eager to be a friend with India, as I hope Narendra will treat me as his personal friend.
Okay, I mean, Narendra, I hear you. Just put your mic very close so we can hear every word you're going to say. And respond. I hear you wanting to respond to Victor, but also I'd like you to address friendships within the sort of larger context of the BRICS group, which is expanding. Of course, it includes both countries, but that's also... do you see this as a new geostrategic powerhouse, if you like, going forward?
You see, when I say China doesn't have a friend, I mean, in general terms, just because I'm buying something from somebody, I don't necessarily become a friend. If we live in a modern world, interdependence is the key. So interdependence for commodities in the sector, industrial sector or the technology sector, it doesn't necessarily mean a friend. You see, the question is that, when I said China lacks friends, so China does a single friend, ask people in the neighborhood of China. Okay, let's move on at the same to answer your question. At the same time, we are a very large country. We have our own kind of, vision of the world. And we are going to collaborate with China, whether they call us friend, they call us enemy, they call us by any name, wherever we think is necessary. Wherever they are ready to sell us what we want to buy, and we will do that. And there are blocks, for instance, we are part of the Quad. Quad is United States, India, Australia, and Japan. At the same time, we are SCO, which is a Shanghai-based organization, and all that. And there is a perception that, it's kind of China plays a very important role there. And we have no problem with that. So we will shake hand with China wherever necessary. If that's in our national interest, we'll shake hand with Russia wherever we think is necessary. And, we will be part of Quad if we think that tomorrow we need to create our own Quad. Let's say with China together, India, China, and Russia come together to make our world a safer and better place. We will do that. So you see, it's multi-alignment, it's multipolarity. The question is that, the biggest challenge that we face, and I'm being very honest, Victor, here with you. I don't want to play with words. I'm being very honest that can we trust China? You see, we have been friends with China forever. If you look at the history, 1950s, we used to call China not a friend, a brother. Hindi, Chini, bhai, bhai. That was the slogan. And they attacked us in 62.
Okay, Victor.
So now, just to conclude, just one line.
Okay.
Now the problem that we face is we want to be friends, we want to do more business. Our biggest and the challenge is, can we trust China?
Okay, Victor, trust. Let's put your mic very close so we can hear every word, please.
Thank you very much. In front of this august body with all the majesties and excellence, I just want to make one point. Narendra, I trust you. And I treat you as a friend. But the biggest political ambition of India now is to become a permanent member state of the United Nations Security Council. Let me tell you, if India does not treat China as a friend, India will never be a permanent member state of the Security Council of the United Nations. Why? Because China has a veto power. China will never support any country in the world to become another permanent member state.
This is the real face of China.
So
this is the real
another permanent member state.
This is the real face.
It is not a friend of China. Narendra, tell Prime Minister Modi, tell the Indian government,
the real face of China.
Treat China as a friend before you have any chance to become a permanent member state of the Security Council of the United Nations.
Look. You see,
treat China as a friend. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
Those who are history of diplomacy.
Pour water for anyone if I do not consider her or him as my friend.
Narendra, back to you.
That's not the issue. The point, just listen to me. You see the point, those who know the history of diplomacy, when China became People's Republic of China, as you know the history, and India helped China to become permanent member of the Security Council. We helped. Now the question is, we helped. And now the question is that now here in this room in Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates, my friend from China, who is not an ordinary Chinese, he says that, look, this is kind of a threat. Now the question is that India wants to be permanent member of we have 1.4 billion people. The point here is that the only country that's coming in the way, the only country, US is okay, France is okay, Russia is very okay, all of the countries. Only country that's not letting India become the permanent member of the Security Council is called People's Republic of China. Now this is the problem.
Because you do not treat China as a friend.
How can you trust such a country? We want to trust China. We want to do more business with China, but there are two things very clear. We will not allow a unipolar Asia. Is not going to happen. We will never let that happen.
Okay.
Number two, the question is that we and China, if we work together, if China and India work together, we can change the face not only of Asia, of the entire world. That's the potential. But they have to help us to trust them. Trust is the biggest challenge.
Okay, that comes back to the border probably issue. Okay, Mr. Gao, last words, and I have one more question to put to both of you.
China is opposed to unipolarity in the world as well as anywhere else in the world, in Asia in particular. So don't get me wrong. China is not seeking unipolarity in Asia. China does not allow any other country to seek unipolarity in the world of today. Do you know why? Because the international order we're living through, founded back in 1945, was meant to be multipolar. You mentioned India supported China. No, China sacrificed 35 million people, and China fought its way to create the international order we live in today. That's why China was the permanent member state of the Security Council of the United Nations.
Okay.
China fought against fascism.
We can't accept the Chinese version of world history.
Miranda,
the Chinese version.
If you do not have enough understanding of history, you can go back to school to study history.
I don't think we're being very friendly here.
I'm happy to go back to school, but not to the Chinese school of history.
Okay, can I just I have one more question. I have one more question.
It's any other school.
I think
permanent member state of the Security Council of the United
Council
Nations.
is the main issue.
Period.
You know,
Trust.
I hold the floor. Yes,
the
yes.
Makbae line is the border between China and India.
Thank you,
Don't
Mr.
get
Gao.
angry.
Thank you, Mr.
Don't
Taneja.
get agitated.
Thank you. The
I'm from the
Security
country of
Council,
Gandhi. We
the
believe in
Security
peace. Don't get
Council
agitated.
of the UN needs a lot of reform, I think we would all agree, beyond China and Indian interests. One more question. Let's get current. I wanted a quick 1-minute update from each of you. Where do the US-India trade relations or trade negotiations stand today? 1-minute answer, please.
Very easy. You see the question, I think if you could rephrase your question, not the United States of America, Trump. There is a difference between Donald Trump and the United States of America.
Yeah.
We have some issues there, but US is a democracy, India is a democracy. Our negotiators are on the table. We're trying to sort out this issue because for us, United States is a very important country. Western Europe is a very important country. When you look at, for instance, India's political ideology, philosophy, directions, and future, you see a lot of alignment between India and Western Europe, Japan, Australia, and the United States. There is a bit of setback there, thanks to President Trump. We very much hope that President Trump would be able to see through the mist and able to work for better relationships. But at the same time, for us, as far as we are national interest concerned, United States is important, so is China, so is Russia, so is Indonesia, so is United Arab Emirates. So wherever, you see, is our national interest. If it's in our, we'll try our best, but at the same time, if President Trump wants us to sign on the dotted line, that will never, ever happen.
Okay, Mr. Gao, how damaging has the yo-yo of these trade negotiations been on China's economy this year?
First of all, I would advise India to treat President Trump as the President of the United States, as the Commander-in-Chief. In that position, all of us here need to give Mr. Trump the full respect he deserves as the head of state, as the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America. Secondly, India can do better if you learn from Pakistan. Pakistan treated Trump as he is, the field marshal of the army, chief intelligence or chief of staff, treated Trump as he deserves. Therefore, they get top-notch respect from Washington. If Narendra, if Prime Minister Modi, if the Indian government
China? I want to hear from you about China.
President Trump as he is, you will get better treatment in the world.
Just one line.
China deals with Trump as he is. Not less, not more than the head of state as the commander-in-chief of the US military. Therefore, despite of all the vicissitude in the world, China-US relations hold the course. And China will never give in to maximum pressure from Washington. But China will not shortchange the United States for all the respect the United States will get. I personally supported President Donald Trump to get the Nobel Peace Prize. And I want to declare in front of this August body, I support Trump getting Nobel Peace Prize.
Round of applause, please, for Mr. Taneja.
2 points.
And Mr. Gao, we have to wrap it up. Otherwise, people are going to get very hungry.
Number one, President Trump is not going to get Nobel Peace Prize. Number two important is
that is his view, not my view.
As far as
tell Washington it's not Victor Gao's view.
Last line. As far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan is our neighbor. We were the same country until very recently. How to deal with Pakistan, we know better. We don't need any advice from any other country, including China. Let us first, China, learn to respect Pakistan and the people of Pakistan. And let Chinese first start learning the faith that they follow. They must know the faith that they follow and respect that faith and understand a bit of that faith.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Another round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, if you would take your seats. Thank you.
深入看，这场对话暴露了3个剧烈反差。第一，朋友定义的错位。印度以西方军事同盟思维衡量友谊，认为没有盟友就是没有朋友。但高志凯点破，中国用平等贸易连接全球150多国，恰恰是一种更广泛的友好。而印度自身一边加入 Quad 对抗中国，一边在 SCO 与中国合作，这种多边骑墙本身就证明，现实主义面前没有永恒敌人。第二，入场之争的本质。印度把无法入场归咎于中国否决，但高志凯暗示了更深层的秩序逻辑。联合国体系本就旨在多极制衡，结合当下特朗普对全球发动关税战、WTO 几近瘫痪的时局，安理会改革早已不是简单的席位分配，而是新旧秩序交替时的权力博弈。第三，高志凯给印度的忠告最具讽刺意味，要像巴基斯坦尊重特朗普那样尊重美国。这表面是外交辞令，实则点破印度在大国博弈中的结构性尴尬，既想借美国制衡中国，又不愿像盟友那样对美国俯首称臣，既想当有声有色的大国，又在关键议题上需要大国背书。中印关系的死结不在1962年的边境战争记忆，而在于两国对亚洲世纪根深蒂固的零和想象。印度恐惧中国主导的单极亚洲，中国警惕印度成为美国恶华的马前卒。但在特朗普撕裂全球贸易体系、美元武器化日益猖獗的今天，中印作为仅有的2个超10亿人口级经济体，应拥有最大的共同利益，维护多边贸易，推动本币结算，抵制美元霸权。